Yes, we're live. Hello, my dear friends. 1 month has passed since we had to put our ArtTech webinars on hold. 1 month has passed since Russia invaded Ukraine. We decided to postpone our edutainment content due to this, finding the ways for peace, struggling for peace. Then we decided to move forward, showing our resistance, showing we're online, showing we keep thinking about the ecosystem and its players. The only thing we've been hesitating about was the format of our first webinar. And then I received a call from my co-founder, Roxanna Zarnegar, who simply said, "Hey, dude, let's do an interview with you, man. The community should know you're fine." So today I'm not in my frequent position, but a guest of Roxanna, one of the best art market analysts I've ever knew, and for sure the best co-founder. Hello, Roxanna.
Dennis, hi, it's so great to see you. So just for me and the audience, where are you and what's going on?
Thank you for this question. Actually, today it's the main question for those who have remained in Ukraine or those who are outside, Ukrainians. Every day we exchange "how are you" messages that often mean as much as any emotional, political, or financial support. Of course, today the entire civilized world knows that war has come to Ukraine, and until the moment when war is just in words, this is aggression, which we have seen before. But with the first shots and bombs on the territory of our country, of my country, this is already a war. Actually, I met this tragedy when I was in Kiev, where I flew to receive my British visa. I was supposed to participate in the Art Business Conference, which is taking place tomorrow in London. But at the same time, I'm proud that now I'm inside my homeland along with my people. I'm Ukrainian by nationality, and today we're all together. So until the moment when windows in my apartment were intact, I was staying in Kiev, and now I have moved to a relatively quiet region in the mountains from where I continue to work for Fuelarts and for Ukraine.
And I know it's difficult, it's your country, but what have you seen in terms of the art world? How has the art world been coming out in the Ukraine? How has the art world reacted to this war?
First of all, let me say about the people in Ukraine, because and then separate the art world, because
Sure.
today we see how the whole Ukraine is united: the west and east, the south and north, and those people, we are united with a common grief, but of course we should be united by peace and calm. It was just that I always dreamed to see in my country independence from anyone and without disagreements between the regions. So today it happened, but for what price? I'm asking myself, and everyone is asking. So it's very painful to see and worry, but for sure we'll overcome it. And getting back to the artists, many artists remain in their cities, including Kiev, Kharkov, Odessa. Many moved to the west of Ukraine, which is not affected by the war so far. So those who are in hotspots, they continue painting portraits of our defenders. The others are instilling peace and hope in our people, and also organizing calls for refugee assistance and peace to the world community. I believe that the figure of artists in this tragic situation is the main figure among the civilian population, because they have strong online presence and they have a strong voice. So When I see how artists of all generations post photos of their inspiring artworks when they are under fire, I can't say it makes me happy, but I understand them. But for those who today sow panic and aggression through the art, I would like to remind that aggression only creates more aggression, and only through projecting beauty and love we can come to victory and peace. Fuelarts didn't stay aside from supporting Ukrainian artists, and we launched the Art World Ukraine information platform. This platform collects and regularly updates the information on international support, including grants, residences, shelters, and actual financial assistance to art migrants and those who can't leave the country, who remain in Ukraine. So in this platform, international art community can support our artists, curators, and all the art professionals. And I'm very pleased to mention that the Ukrainian employers of Fuelarts, we have 3 of them, are developing this project for free today. So currently, international artists and curators from France, Hong Kong, the Netherlands, Great Britain, Malaysia, and the USA have supported the Art World Ukraine platform. We have collected more than 80 sources of support in more than 30 countries where Ukrainian artists can find their temporary shelter. Parallel to this, exhibitions of Ukrainian art are created and held in Poland, the Netherlands, Germany, Great Britain, many other countries. And what's more important, a lot of art professionals who left Ukraine are making those exhibitions and sending humanitarian aid to Ukraine, in most cases without even having time to accommodate. So they are just starting doing art and starting projecting support. However, I'd like to say something else. Unfortunately, against the background of anti-Russian sanctions, many major art players do not think about how this will affect Ukraine. For instance, Sotheby and Christie have joined the Western world by canceling Russian sales, but I still haven't heard from the leading auction houses how Ukrainian artists will continue to be sold, because they were traditionally sold at Russian sales. Will there be a separate days of Ukrainian sales, or will Ukrainian artists finally be able to enter the international roster? I mean, sales of contemporary art, which they have already deserved. So, and who will represent collectors, sellers, and buyers? They didn't like to talk about it loud, as the former CEO of Christie's. But since the beginning of 2000s, all issues of Ukrainian art were resolved through the Moscow offices of Sotheby's and Christie's. So what will happen next? Of course, today we stand with Ukraine from everywhere, from all the world. But so far, most of the world actions mean we stand against Russia. So I want everyone to think about Ukrainians and then about the rest. Finalizing my reply about the art world, I should say that, for instance, such art platform, it has disabled direct sales of original artworks by Ukrainian artists, saying that, okay, they can't be delivered from a disadvantaged region. And that's ridiculous, because at the same time, when art collectors and ordinary people are ready to transfer money to Ukrainian artists and pay for works regardless of delivery, just wanting to help, Roxana, look at Airbnb and other platforms. Let's say Airbnb, foreign people are booking Ukrainian apartments for a year in advance to help people. So Or if we take the US art tech startup Snark Art, which in particular having co-founders with Russian roots, but they are holding NFT auction of Ukrainian art, delivering money to Ukrainian artists. So these are wonderful examples that the world should be inspired by.
I mean, Denis, that's the amazing thing about you and Fuelarts. We're pivoting to support the Ukrainian artists. We're pivoting to support the Ukrainian art sector. Tell me how Fuelarts is operating under all these circumstances.
Well,
how can we be more innovative? How can we secure the technical, but also inspire?
You know, the first song I heard the day of invasion was "Show Must Go On," and inside my heart is breaking. My makeup may be flaking, but my smile still stays on. So I understood that we should look ahead, understanding how to raise the country after this war, after we come to peace through victory. So we should keep in mind a great phrase by Winston Churchill, which he said more than 80 years ago. He said, if we don't support culture in the time of war, then what we are fighting for? Of course, back then, there was no concept of creative economy, but I'm pretty sure that that's what Churchill would have been talking about today. We should remember that art and education brought people hope during the pandemic. So they made people believe in a better future by elevating themselves. And so being in the intersection of the venture capital and the art world, the Fuelarts, we know that any conflict of interest can and should be resolved through negotiations. And if escalated conflict leads to violence or war, it means that the parties either didn't want to resolve it or didn't simply manage to. So if today we ignore culture, education, and all the creative projects that inspire people to live and coexist peacefully, so those initiatives will become new fires in the common fire of war. So in this context, Fuelarts decided not to stop its projects, especially educational and research projects. It was similar in other international teams. People from Eastern Europe in one capacity or another participate in 40% of the entire ArtTech ecosystem. So in the startup world, there is a concept of co-founding a movement towards a common goal. So we really hope that this goal will be peace. And if the model of young startups can show politicians the possibilities of conflict-free coexistence, we'll consider it the best outcome of our Fuelarts mission. So we decided to go further. We were, as I told you, we're forced to temporarily suspend our ArtTech webinars. Of course, we didn't have the moral right to release edutainment content on the one hand, or to start every online meeting with our esteemed guests with political information on the other. So it would have been emotionally hard. We haven't canceled, but slightly shifted our online pre-acceleration courses and have also completed our first inaugural report on the investment market in art tech and NFT startups in 2021. So the report will hit the media at the beginning of the next week, and on March 31st at the same online webinar next Thursday, we'll present it here, and then it will be in the public domain for ArtTech and VC communities. And in this case, I would also like to express my gratitude and admit our art director, Alexei Kokhanov, who created this report while working in Kiev from the shelter. He was constantly changing his studio and bomb shelter several times a day, and Alexei insisted on continuing his work in these hard circumstances, and he only apologized that, contrary to our technical assignment, the report would be less businesslike but bright and cheerful, as the world should be today.
Alexei, and you were very brave, and I'm glad to see you kept busy with work and Fuel Arts. I know the first comprehensive art market report, including NFTs and classic art, is coming out next week through Fuel Arts. But do you think it's at all possible we can get a sneak peek right now? I want to see, I want to thank Alexei as well. I've worked with Alexei before, and he is one of the bravest men I've ever met, as well as you. And it'd be a great treat to see what you both have produced. Even a quick sneak peek would be great. Do you think we can share that?
I will ask my team, our team, to prepare several slides, because I really expected unexpected questions from you, Roxana. So we made a small sneak peek from the report. Consists of 70 pages, so we'll show up to 10. In 2 words, it will be the first full report on the art and technology market, focused on the life of ArtTech and NFT startups, including their geographical distribution, investment attractiveness, key problems, and what's more important, the solutions. So we see the mission of the report to make the market more clear for startups and transparent for investors. And I should admit that this work won't be possible without the significant contribution to the development of the whole ArtTech ecosystem from our colleagues. First of all, the Deloitte Art and Finance team, led by Adriana Piccinatti di Torcello, and ArtTech team and its founder, Anders Pettersson. You should remember that back in 2019, the Deloitte Art and Finance report published the result of the first study on the ArtTech startup market, conducted by you, Roxana.
And you.
And me.
And that's where Fuel Arts was born. Yeah.
Small. Yeah. That was our official baby birth. So, and also ArtTech has been publishing a comprehensive report, the Hiscox Online report, on online art sales for many years. So in our report, and I'll ask my team to start slightly changing the sneak peek. So in this report, we focused on public data of Crunchbase and PitchBook. Of course, while writing a report, we conducted a global survey of founders of ArtTech startups and market representatives. And in this survey, we wanted to determine the degree of interest of young companies in the contribution of their personal experience for the needs of the ArtTech ecosystem. So in the report, we put ArtTech into 4 categories: production, trade, management, and analytics. Also, we divided production into 3 separate segments: research and development, visualization, and gamification. So we started the report with a comprehensive analysis of the periodization of art and tech. You can see now the system, the periodization system of art and tech, from the late 1980s to the present day. Also in this part, we revealed what to consider a startup and what just a bare idea and what a successful business, the result of the startup exit. So then the first part of the report reveals the combined art tech market and key financial indicators, the amount of funding over the past 20 years and separately in 2021. We also describe the portraits of art tech investors, the distribution of startups by development stage, business niche segmentation, and geographic location. So In the second part, in the second and the third part of the report, we focused on the two parts of the ArtTech world: classic tech startups, which dealing with physical art objects, and startups that work in the field of digital art, including NFT. So, and the fourth part of the report presents the result of our survey mentioned, survey of young companies and art strategists. So the report also includes 5 interviews with art market leaders, art tech investor, a financial analyst, an NFT collector, an NFT artist, and startup.
Great.
So, by the way, tomorrow at the Art Business Conference in London, which I didn't get to, part of this report about female founders in art tech will be presented. So, oh, I hit some children. So everyone still can. It's always good to hear smiley children voices, especially
Absolutely.
In the wartime.
Yeah.
So yeah, the conference.
So they'll be presenting these slides at the conference. A few slides.
Few slides will. You can still come to the conference and see this part of the report first, but now we'd just like to show a few slides from the report, so you can look forward to the official release. So the female founder section. So our tech startups have relatively high number of female founders and co-founders. From 702 art, tech, and NFT startups, we found 108 startups founded or co-founded by female entrepreneurs, which is 15% of the total number of startups active on the market. So the cumulative funding for those 108 art, tech, NFT female-founded startups amounts to 1.24 billion, which is 34, nearly 45% of the total funding received by all startups since their launch. So, yeah, I understand your reaction. That's right. 15% of young companies later prove themselves as real business entities. So later, 15% of companies gathering 35% of all investments. So may these numbers from the upcoming report clearly show that female-founded startups are incredibly valuable on the market.
That's fantastic. Very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't even seen the full report yet. So thank you for sharing a brief snapshot of it. Let's jump to what your expertise actually always has been. Let's talk about the first quarter of 2022. In your opinion, what's the current situation of art tech versus NFT? What are the markets doing? Are they moving closer together, further apart? How do you feel about what's going on in 2022 so far?
Well, actually, the more the NFT market develops, the more we have to separate NFTs and the NFT infrastructure startups. Or in financial terms, investments in NFTs and investments in startups which are producing, trading, managing, and analyzing NFTs. Let me explain, please. So in 2021, many considered NFT to be a bubble. And partly that was true. So now as the dust settles, we can see that the real and more trusted market formation. The widely quoted research of Statista.com saying that the interest in NFTs, you might, of course, I'm pretty sure that you've read this article, that the interest in NFTs has plummeted. In fact, shows that Google search results made by common people, not the crypto community, the main buyers of digital assets, as we know. So the cumulative value of the 8 curatorial NFT platforms in March has exceeded to 130 million so far, which means that compared to the current rate of Ether, it's a quite high number, more than in January and May 2021 during the previous recession. So we can say that the market of NFTs shows adaptation towards recessions. On the other hand, we see massive and ongoing investments in the NFT startups, NFT ecosystem, infrastructure startup segment, where and those investments are not opportunistic, but a long-term approach to investing in infrastructure startups. Investors understand that the digital assets and decentralization and cross-borderness are the future, especially now in the conditions of geopolitical instability. But let me get back to January. While many were worried about the recession in the crypto market, the NFT trading volume in January exceeded previous records and amounted to 6.8 billion in 1 month sales. So, and the leadership in that NFT market was held by the OpenSea, who that very January, due to 300 million investment, became the first decacorn in the ArtTech startup market. And back in January, second place took the Lux Rare platform, a new platform. It was launched in early January, and during the first week, they sold NFTs for 2.3 billion. So I believe we're going to see the competition in the digital asset market, like the rivalry between Sotheby's and Christie's in the physical art market. And it's quite possible that they will form an oligopoly, cutting the rest from the distribution of super profits. But that's how the real art market works.
Yep.
So,
well,
and
it's real.
Yes,
They're both real.
they're both real.
Yeah.
So in January, the investments in ArtTech and NFT startups amounted to 556 million.
Amazing.
That was an absolute record per month in history. And but at the same time, and I know that you are the biggest fan of the classic ArtTech market, the physical ArtTech market. So I have good news for you. January also presented an interesting case in the physical art market. The online marketplace of African contemporary art, ANCA, ANKN, ANCA from Cote d'Ivoire, they received 6 million of investment.
That's wonderful.
The first investment.
Right.
So, an investment in ArtTech startups in February continued this good trend. And also we could note good diversification both between the segments of digital art market and the classic art market, and the balance between first-time investments and follow-on funding. We can enumerate Banger or Banger from Spain, blockchain games development company, and La Collection or La Collection museum art NFT marketplace from France. They got 10 million of investment. But the week since the outbreak of hostilities in Ukraine have outlined several priorities for startups and investors. First, it concerns geographical distribution. So the startup centers have moved from the CIS countries to Dubai, Indonesia, and Lisbon. In these places, crypto communities have become even more prominent. And at the same time, an interesting number of art and tech startups are entering the market with simultaneous digital asset offerings through tokenization. So in parallel with traditional forms of VC investments that involve equity shares. I should mention 3 examples and then make you free to
Go
ask me
ahead.
another
Yeah.
question. So, digital asset ownership platform from Australia, Immutable, 200 million of investment 2 weeks ago. Then Convelio, art logistics company from France, which represents classic physical art tech markets, 35 million.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics is your sphere, Roxana,
Yeah.
where you came from originally. So both the NFT platforms and the classic art tech platforms are alive, and they are popular among investors. And also, despite of the great volatility of the NFT market, which we see lately, at the same time, we observe a relative stability of the blue chip market. We even saw the first major M&A event, I mean, merge and acquisition event. Recently, it was said that the creator of the Bored Apes Yacht Club, Yuga Labs,
Yeah.
acquired the rights to CryptoPunks. So
Yep.
we have the first merge and acquisition.
Yeah.
Moreover, finally, today we heard that the Bored Apes Yacht Club raised 450 million to create the NFT ecosystem. So that's the best proof of stake in terms of the market development.
I agree. I mean, I think the next generation of collectors and creators and makers have spoken. They want NFTs here and they want them to stay. How they stay and where they stay is going to be the next generation of unicorns. And I think Fuel Arts is really well positioned to find the next unicorns. Can you give us a bit of a hint on how we find that unicorn, the next unicorn?
That's all simple. You just have to pick up the right co-founder as Roxana, and then start an accelerator, then present it during the Deloitte Art and Finance Conference in Monaco, then receive investment, and then to find new unicorns. It's all simple. But if to reply to your question officially, or let's say semi-officially, yeah, we'd like to think ourselves as all things art tech, being in the center of art tech ecosystem, because we have content, annual startups report, the industry newsletter, the webinars and interviews of founders and other key stakeholders. So by means of that, we are connecting art tech and venture capital, the two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have an acceleration program and venture arm to invest in early stage companies in the space. So in April, we are launching 2 online pre-acceleration programs. We call this From Idea to Prototype. The first class is called Classic ArtTech Startups. So the program is devoted to the digital transformation of the traditional art market. And the second one is digital and NFT startups. It is dedicated to digital and NFT startups, as you can guess. So our programs are created by global NFT, blockchain, art tech market professionals and venture investors, and especially designed for startup founders, cultural entrepreneurs, art managers, gallery owners, artists, and NFT creators, students, and young professionals. So those 2 programs, they give early stage founders the knowledge to fundraise and launch their art tech and NFT startup 3 times faster and with the minimum budget. So the team of professional mentors of Fuel Arts will provide those founders with practical tools, while networking should open them a wide variety of business opportunities. And the mentors team includes the best international art market and business professionals, among them Roxana, Sylvain Levy, Natasha Letourneur, and many others. Please visit our website for looking through all the art market and business and NFT professionals. And what's more important now, that we made this program free for Ukrainian founders, for the founders of Ukrainian art and tech startups, which means that from now on, if any international company wants to receive our pre-acceleration courses for free, they should hire a Ukrainian co-founder or at least a CTO.
Excellent.
Because Ukrainian CTOs are the best CTOs in the world.
Excellent.
So I believe that should provoke international companies to enter more and more Ukrainians, either on the key positions in their companies, because they are, even besides of the tragic circumstances, Ukrainians are worth investing in their projects. Look at me, for
I
instance.
can 100% agree to that. After working with you for over 3 years, you're 100% my favorite Ukrainian right now. But I know there are many out there that want to compete, and I know how well you've performed as a CEO and a visionary from our small little idea. And the direction that you've taken Fuelarts is amazing and inspiring. So what's next for Fuelarts? What are we going to hear from Denis and Fuelarts next? What does the future hold right now?
Don't say you don't know. But of course, I understand the reason why you're asking that. So as we know, accelerators are part of the venture capital ecosystem. Just different way to get equity in early stage companies through a combination of cash and services. But of course, we're at the beginning of the macro trend, which is called digital assets and NFTs in particular. So a huge opportunity is in front of us, and this opportunity won't be possible without. Oh yeah, we have.
Oh, look, there's a Bored Ape.
Yes, yeah, we have a Bored Ape here.
Yeah.
So a huge opportunity is in front of us, and this opportunity won't be possible without the required infrastructure that mostly young companies are set to build. So for that reason, based on our accelerator and our experience, we are creating a fund, an investment fund to back promising startups building products and services along the value chain of art NFTs. We consider our unique position in the center of the ecosystem allows us to invest across the full ArtTech spectrum. So the market is already big and it will become even bigger. We're investing in the industry enablers, in other words. We call them infrastructure builders, infrastructure startups, because digital assets, as any other assets, need to be produced, stored, protected, traded, managed, and analyzed, provenance verified. And we believe that there will be new winners in this space beyond the current leaders. We have already we know the current leaders, but we have already identified the new leaders, and we're pretty sure in that. So to bring the selection of the most promising startups to the fund, we created a 5-step funnel. So we see the market starting from the ideas with our accelerator. Then we encourage founders to develop those ideas. We're also constantly researching the ArtTech ecosystem through our reports, surveys, and analyzing high growth startups. I've mentioned that we have a 2-level acceleration, early stage and later stage program that allow us to work with the companies on different stages of development. So through our business and financial due diligence process, it finally allows us to filter and select those with the greatest potential and joining our portfolio. So currently we're raising our inaugural fund. It will be called Fuelarts Capital Fund 1 with the following terms. It will be a multi-million fund to invest in up to 30 startups. We expect to fully deploy the capital in up to 24 months, the investment period, and the fund will have a life cycle of 7 years.
Okay.
That's all I can tell about the fund and its priorities right now. But I can send you the deck, Roxana.
Well, if I can see it before everyone else, I would be honored, Denis. So tell me a little bit more about what you're investing in. Startups. What about digital assets? What are you thinking?
A nice question. My dear team, do we have a second picture illustrating the yes, the digital assets? Given our art background and extensive network, Fuelarts is positioned to create and invest in high quality NFTs beyond the let's say the noise and volatility, besides the classic art and tech startups and equity. So we also see a great opportunity investing in tokens that we believe can offer amazing solutions to trade collectibles. So this is how this picture represents how we think about digital assets. So number one, the part number one of our diversified portfolio, direct token equity. So we identify early stage companies across multiple geographies with the capacity to become the future industry unicorns. But in case of the digital asset fund, we don't invest in shares. We invest in companies' tokens. So the portfolio segment number two, NFTs, blue chip and emerging.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we're in constant communication with leading NFT curators, that allows us to identify talented emerging artists who can increase sustainability in the mid to long term. And the column number three, the pillar number three, is cryptocurrencies. So we are about to invest in layer one blockchain networks and layer two, the protocols that offer the best security, ease of transaction, and scalability that the industry requires. So this is our diversified portfolio if to speak about digital assets, in terms of digital assets. So we'll be happy to inform more data and share documentation with all the interested investors and partners on the both funds.
This is an interesting concept, and your ecosystem design can definitely work over the 7-year period. Tell me how the accelerator and the fund coexist. How do they work together?
Well, let's say the accelerator is gonna be the general partner, so-called GP, of the both funds. And fund number one is a pure VC play. We'll be investing, as I told you, fiat, joining the startups cap tables. And on the contrary, we believe that the second strategy for digital assets will be a better fit for an investment vehicle denominated in cryptocurrencies. So the accelerator is the upper level of our funnel, the pre-acceleration program. Then we pick up the startups who need later stage acceleration or private advisory. Yep. So as I told you, we have a 5-step due diligence funnel for our fund. So accelerator takes stage number 1 and stage number 3 in it.
That's great. That's great. You have a lot of work to do. You're keeping busy. You're keeping busy on that beautiful red couch, by the way.
We're trying to. I have to keep the company sustainable because we have 3 Ukrainians working there, and I'm the first one. But along with this, as I told, we're doing humanitarian projects here in the western part of Ukraine and helping artists.
And let's keep that connection going.
And that makes us even more filled with energy. One wise man said that during the war, if you want to win the war, you have to do what you can do, but twice better. So putting that all together, I mean, the humanitarian part and the business part, it encourages us and doubles our efforts, doubles our power, our strength.
Well, let's make sure we keep each other inspired. Let's make sure we keep your Ukrainian staff inspired. And let's make sure we open the doors to more unicorns. Denis, I can't thank you enough for sharing all of this work that you've been doing over the past month. Let's talk about the future. Tell me what you think is going to happen to the art world. Tell me how you feel about a peaceful journey and a peaceful world in the future.
Let's start from the. Thank you for this question, Roxana. And first of all, for being interviewing me.
My pleasure.
Let's start our journey from the first day of peace, from the first day of our victory. So everyone understands that without a proper reaction from the world and constant negotiations, the war can spread further. So in these circumstances, there are interesting times ahead for the art market in the coming months, and when it could become a money laundering ground for people under sanctions, resulting in increased sales. So it's true that Russian oligarchs have been buying art for 2 billion a year in total, and compared to other national buyers like Middle East and China ones, this is not a very large amount at first glance. But we must not forget that those art objects in the hands of Russian oligarchs, they've been accumulated for years, for decades, and today their capitalization is a serious amount. So, and the art market, as we know, has not only the public side, like auction houses, but also a private network of galleries and dealers. So we cannot predict how they will behave in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is clear, many valuable pieces of art will change their owners during the war.
Yes.
Sorry, forgive me. During the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about sales, after all, saving capital from sanctions. People will want to invest in more reliable assets. First of all, in collectible values.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the owners of ArtTech startups and ArtTech businesses will behave themselves in terms of, I mean, they will behave themselves honestly,
Mm-hmm.
and will not be involved into money laundering, because the ArtTech could easily compromise itself in that circumstances. Regarding the NFT market, I should say the following. By the end of 2021, due to the massive purchase of cryptocurrencies by traditional investors in their portfolios, so the cryptocurrency market began to react to movements in the stock market. So in other words, it began to react to crisis in the same way as stocks, other securities, and hard assets.
Mm-hmm.
That is why, with the outbreak of the war, the crypto economy didn't grow upwards, but experienced a serious correction, which we see now. And as we know, the NFT market directly depends on the rate of leading cryptocurrencies. Not to mention the metaverses, because we remember that the metaverses are, in terms of value for their creators and owners, what are they? It's a transition to an alternative reality that has gained popularity since the pandemic. So with the advent of war, the number of such psychological escapes may increase. However, it should be remembered that the metaverses cannot save from a military threat.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, I hope that the metaverses will serve as a path to a new world, a better world. In the end, I would like to say that on the latest cover of Time magazine, we see Vitalik Buterin, the creator of the Ethereum protocol.
Yep.
We know him as a Canadian programmer
Mm-hmm.
who was born in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to us? It means the fact that the crypto community doesn't divide people by nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, all the crypto community would have sold all the NFTs and donated it to Ukraine, or stop using Ether and Ethereum blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing is a personal position and a desire to serve for the benefit of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good that the physical world understands that as well. A friend of my American family, a famous dancer, Mikhail Baryshnikov, during the first days of war, he was one of the first persons to condemn the war in Ukraine. But he also said people of creative professions and have no right to be limited in their rights, because they do not belong to any country. They do not belong to themselves, in fact. They belong to all of us, belong to the history of art, and I would love everyone to think this way.
Everyone does. The art world doesn't have boundaries.
Yeah, because we have to preserve our humanity.
Yes.
If we want to win, we have to preserve our humanity.
Thank you, Denis.
That's the best asset we'll receive after our victory, the humanity.
You're absolutely right. And it's so great to see you well. And it's so great to see you busy with Fuelarts.
Thank you. Thank you, Roxana. We have several questions here. I can see it. And probably if we haven't mentioned something during our talk, you're the right. Oh, thank you so much. The upcoming report is a great job. Yeah, thanks to our great team. Can't wait. You can be, yes, can't wait. Thank you, George Bach. Yeah, thank you, George, for your words of support. Yeah. Actually, I will ask my team if we have any other questions, but if we don't, it wouldn't mean that the people are not interested, but they are busy with helping each other, which is much more important nowadays than we shouldn't waste any minute. And I actually don't want to waste any minute of all of our listeners and our audience. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael. Great to see you online. It's around almost noon here in New York, and I know everyone is at work, so I'm sure you're going to get a big rush of people watching this on YouTube pre-recorded. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that Denis and I stay in touch regularly, and we'll probably do this again and again. And eventually we'll see how Fuelarts inspires everyone, not only in the Ukraine, but around the world.
Thank you, Massimo. Good. So, Roxana, are you satisfied with the person you've interviewed today?
I think that question is already been answered about 40 minutes ago. So I'm proud to see you busy. I'm proud to see you well. And I'm proud of my Ukrainian co-founder.
Question from, thank you very much. We have a question from NFT artists, how this report can be useful for them. Sorry. This report will contain the the interview with one of the opinion leaders, Malaysian artist Poesie Liang, who has recently created the collection, her own series of NFT artworks called Running Rabbit, and she used gamification while releasing this project, so her personal story could be very helpful for digital artists. Also, you could read another fantastic material from the report, interview with Sylvain Levy, who can easily become your first digital collector because he expresses there his attitude towards, he expresses his personal attitude towards his way of choice of NFTs. I mean, the reason why and how he selects the artworks for his collection of digital assets. So those two examples could be very helpful for digital artists in particular. But every artist would like to become a startup founder sooner or later. We believe in that, as we believe in peace.
Okay. Any other questions?
In that case, thank you, everyone, and we'll meet next Thursday presenting our inaugural report in detail, and hopefully by that time there will be peace on earth. We pray about it every day.
Be well, Denis. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Roxana.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.
See you, dear friends.